There are two sides to the question of ketamine legality. Some propose it should be more restricted, while others believe it should be more accessible. Both tend to agree it should be researched a bit more. More research is needed. It is out of safety and the concern of safety and well-being of our people that these questions are asked. It could have both positive or negative effects on society depending on how it's used. My first source, Isabella Backman from the Yale School of Medicine, states in the 2023 journal article titled Ketamine Handled with Care that ketamine can certainly help with depression, but she only considers it safe in a controlled medical environment and alongside other depression drugs. She goes on to say that it must be studied more before considering changing regulations. This is to ensure that there isn't a restriction of access to care to those in need while ensuring drug safety. The FDA is my second source. They haven't determined the safety or effectiveness of ketamine for mental health as of 2023, but they acknowledge how nasal ketamine helps with chronic depression and other mental health issues. And they approved nasal ketamine, S-ketamine, in 2019, but they have concerns with abuse, which is why they're hesitant to change the scheduling of ketamine. Part of the reason. Cynthia M.A. Geppert is my third source. She wrote an article called The VA Ketamine Controversies, and she discussed how the price of ketamine is crazy, and the nasal S-ketamine is even more expensive than the IV ketamine that is not FDA approved. She refrains from prescribing ketamine herself, although she advocates for it and acknowledges that her coworkers prescribe it, and it seems to work out in many cases, most cases, I believe. Uh, but she doesn't prescribe it to stay in line with her oath of do not harm. As she says, this is a quote, often the treatments that seem so auspicious turn out to have a dark side. I conducted two interviews, one with Donald Bailey, a pharmacy tech assistant who recently switched from CVS to a private military base. He gave me his take on the pharmaceutical industry, and we talked about the theoretical real world possibility or application of bringing ketamine to over the counter status. And, we looked at the potential positives, potential negatives. We compared it to other over the counter drugs like Delsum or even just some drugs that are more often prescribed in a medical environment where ketamine doesn't really get the acknowledgement it deserves. Um, my other interview was with an educator in North Carolina who desired to stay anonymous. In my conversation with the educator, I heard about the potential benefits of moderate ketamine use for mental health. They had used some for themselves to help with depression and anxiety, and they found that it really bettered them in many ways. So they're advocating for ketamine for mental health. I looked at a meta analysis called Ketamine for the Treatment of Mental Health and Substance Use Disorders. And it essentially stated that much more ketamine can be dangerous, while doing smaller amounts of ketamine could be extremely beneficial to the right people or just downright healthy. My fifth source was an article for Yale Medicine called Yale Psychiatrists Pioneers of Ketamine Research Shed Light on S-Ketamine. They call ketamine a game changer. They call it, Jennifer Chen from Yale calls it the anti-medication medication. Lasting effects in a neural pathways is a main reason of that. It helps brain connections regrow, and she sees a lot of evidence in helping depression and anxiety and other mental health issues. Um, and I believe that concludes my speech. There are obviously two sides who both want, the betterment and the of the people, and they want this drug to be used properly, and everyone wants that, but people have different ideas as to how to go about that. Some people think that you can put the responsibility on the consumer, and some believe that you cannot do that, and this is a drug that can only be used in a medical controlled environment. Thank you for listening. I am Robert Cormier, signing off.